have we got the firepower to stay up? That's what the media always ask, isn't it? That's the conversation you get when you're a little way into the season and teams are in and around the bottom, in and around the relegation scrap. That's what the media say. Do we have the firepower? Do they have the firepower? Have they got a centre forward that will fire them out of trouble, get the goals to propel them up the table? How you doing, everyone? Happy Sunday. Listen, your old friend Michael Leavy Jr. here. I realise a lot of you will be disappointed not to see Gonzo's lovely face, but he is taking a well-earned break, a weekend away, and he's asked me to step in his massive shoes. Well, he's tiny little bloke, tiny feet, but big shoes to fill here at Hammers Chat. And plus, you always give me such a beautiful reception that I'm just going to give you a video today in his stead. So instead of Gonzo, you got me today. I hope you don't mind. Thank you so much. So listen, a few things to talk about today. Like I started with there, it's always said, isn't it? Does this team have the firepower? Do they have a centre forward that's going to get them out of trouble? Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Jarrod Bowen. He's always good for a goal or good for an assist. Depending on what we're going to get with Nuno's style, you'd probably throw your hat on Souček getting a few goals over the course of the season. But it's been said before, and I think I'm going to say it again, the centre forward situation worries me. Do you really have faith that you're going to get between 10 and 15 goal return from Füllkrug or Callum Wilson or even our young buck, Callum Marshall, which he has looked full of energy, and I'd love to see him get an extended run in the team, and I'd love to see him scoring goals. But I don't know if I can trust those three centre forwards to come in and get the goals. And it's not just the centre forward position. When you look around the team, when you're managing, the rule of thumb is you generally have a look and you try to designate a certain amount of goals from certain areas of the pitch. So you'll probably be lucky if your attacking fullbacks can get you a few assists and get you maybe 2 to 5 goals in a season. That'd be great. And then you look at your centre backs, and I think back to when we had people like Ogbonna and to a lesser degree Zuma, but certainly Craig Dawson. You might get 5 to 7, 5 to 8 goals from your centre backs coming up from corners, set pieces. I'm not really seeing that at the moment. I'm not really seeing that with Mavropanos nor Kilman. Certainly not Tadibo. I don't see the goal threat there. Then you look into our midfield at the moment. So Freddie Potts or Magassa, I can't really see a goal threat coming from the sort of 6th position. And then you look at Fernandez, who I've said recently, I need to see a little bit more from him, but he's not a renowned goal scorer unless I've got this confused. I think he scored 2 goals last season for Southampton. So I'm not going to see a lot of goals there. Okay, Lucas Paqueta started off all right with 3 or 4 games in the first 3 or 4 goals in the first 3 or 4 games. But he's not really renowned for being, a real bagsman and scoring a lot of goals. And he hasn't really had an assist now for approaching close to 50 games. And then you look at our captain, you look at our Jarrod Bowen. The last couple of managers have not got the best out of him, and he does still pop up with a goal or an assist. Somerville looks really, really bright. But again, I'm wondering how many goal contributions we can expect from him. Can we expect between 8 and 12 goals from him as a sort of left-sided forward? Left winger, depending how you want to see it. And then we come back to Füllkrug, Wilson and Marshall. How many goals do you think they're going to contribute? It's not like we've got someone that's going to be hitting 10, 15 goals a season. So it's an interesting thing. And I don't want to be doom and gloom. Look, here's the thing. What have we learned so far from Nuno? I think what we're going to see from Nuno Espírito Santo is you're going to see someone who's more organised. And listen, by the way, I love interacting with you lot in the chat. I always have this thing. I will always speak to people with respect, and I will speak to people on the internet, whether they're just an avatar with a fake name or whether they're a real person. I will always speak to you with the respect I would speak to you face to face, sitting across the table. And I love so far, so many of you have been able to do that with me. So just a quick thank you, because I have conversations with Gonzo and others, and I know the world of YouTube and the world of the internet can be a dark, old, horrible place with a lot of frustration and a lot of trolls and a lot of, nasty people and comments. I'll tell you what, I've found you all to be so lovely, and I will always reply to your comments and read the comments. Some of you would have noticed that. And what I find is it's great when we have conversations where we disagree, because we can go back, see each other's point of view, and then say, thanks for talking to you. Lovely chat. And I really love that. So just a thank you from me. So let's go back to Nuno for a moment. you're going to get a different style from Nuno. You're not going to get much pressing. It is certainly not. People think of it as a low block. I would disagree. I would say it's a kind of mid block. He lets the opposition have the ball and approach into our half. And then what he does, he squeezes areas of the pitch to try to open up and monopolise space on the flanks and then attack the flanks. So that's going to be interesting. So just in terms of how that affects our strikers, really, I think one of the real pluses with the young lad Callum Marshall is he's full of energy. He doesn't. He just chases people down like a bloody squirrel, and his pressing is great. But we're not going to utilise that under Nuno. Füllkrug is barely moving, and obviously Callum Wilson doesn't quite have the legs anymore. So it's going to be interesting because what you're going to see is you're going to see us sit in our shape. It's a very low bar, but I take the point that we didn't concede 4-5-6 against Arsenal. It's such a sad situation that we're actually pleased only to lose by 2. But I take the point. He seems to have us more organised, more sitting in our shape, and let's hope he can sort the set piece situation out in terms of defending corners and in terms of attacking. I think what you're going to get from Nuno is good man management, good leadership. I see him as the kind of manager that's going to stick his arm around the shoulder of some of these players and get some of the more what we used to call confidence players that need to be told they're Pele, and you send them out feeling brilliant. I feel like he's going to do that. I feel like he's going to motivate and inspire and get organised, and that's the first thing we need to do. I'd be interested to know if you agree with me. I've said this on the last video with Gonzo. I think if we can get through until January with a little bit of spirit, a little bit of battling, a little bit of cohesion, again, I worry about chipping in all over the pitch with goal contributions. Let me know if you agree with that. But yeah, we need to get to January still in touching distance. They used to say in athletics that if on the final lap you're up there with the pack, you've got a chance to kick on. And I feel like that's that with us. I don't want us to be dead and buried by January. I do think it will make or break our season in terms of who we get in. I definitely think we need a pacey centre forward because at the moment what you've got is the two main centre forwards in Wilson and Füllkrug are not particularly mobile and not particularly quick. And what happens there is opposition defences push right up on us and pin us back into our own half because there's no danger of a ball over the top and them getting caught in behind. If we can bring somebody in that does have a bit of pace about them so that you do that option for Paqueta to just drop balls over the defence and get them turning facing their own goal is something I think we need. But interestingly, I've not spoke to anyone about this and I don't even know if I'm out of date with this. So I think we need a centre-back. I think we need a dominant centre-back. I think we need a physical presence. I think we need a big boy in there. I think we need a Craig Dawson-style, no-nonsense centre-back. But I think most of all, we need someone defending and attacking who's got an aerial threat. And I'd like some of you anoraks out there that like to go and look at data. I'd like you to go and look at a gentleman by the name of Isaac Toure. So he plays for Lorient. He's 22 years old. He's of French African sort of descent. He is 6'9". He is quite pacey. He's no slouch for 6'9". He wins everything in the air. He will be an absolute game changer for me in the centre of our defence in terms of the aerial battles and clearing from these corners that have been a thing for us. And also, if you've got someone who can put a corner across on his head, he's putting it in the back of the net every time. So he's still a little bit under the radar, but I'd like you to go and have a look at Isaac Toure, 6'9" for Lorient, centre-back, 22 years of age, physical beast, all the attributes to work in the Premier League, tactically astute, so he could play to a game plan. If we play a higher line, he's got the pace to get back. He's not quite got the pace of Aguerd, but he's no slouch. But again, I just think at 6'9", there was talk earlier in the week, Gio said about the possibility of Harry Maguire. And although I see his point in terms of being a proper old school defender and being a threat in both boxes and that aerial presence, I'd rather go for the younger version of that. The key attributes of a Maguire for someone who's not going to be turning 33 next season. So at 22, I'd like to see what some of you think about Isaac Toure. So let's talk about that, if you don't mind, in the comments. But yeah, certainly we need pace up front and we need aerial threat and aerial defence at the back. So that leads me on just briefly onto the Brentford game. So, bone of contention here is the protest game. So there's obviously, you'll know, protests for every home game this season, which needs to be, it's necessary. Clever timing from the board, because a lot of people are going to want to support the team and not the regime, which I totally respect. And it's not for me to tell people whether they should go or whether they should boycott the game. I understand people also have their own circumstances in terms of taking their children, or they don't get to many games, or they've already got tickets. And of course, everyone wants to go and see the new manager in our home game. Of course they do. So good timing from the board in terms of hiring Nuno. What I would say is this: if you do support the protest and you do want to change with the board, I'll not impress my opinion on anyone else, but I'll just share this with you. I don't think the stadium being 2/3 full will really make the impact. And Hammers United and all the guys are doing a fantastic job. But for me, Sullivan doesn't like it when the microscope is turned on him, when the embarrassment levels are turned on him. He likes to have a scapegoat or a fire blanket, whether it be managers or Tim Stighton, or in this week's case, Carl McCauley, or someone else to blame. If we can have that stadium looking sparse with all those white seats everywhere, and you've got the Sky television cameras there panning around, it's going to be the elephant in the room. It's going to be a big topic of conversation. And I think what's going to happen is the pundits are going to be asking, what's going on here? You know, why is the ground so empty? And then there's going to be close-ups of Sullivan sat there in his little Russian hat, squirming. And I think that's the kind of impact we need. Look, there's plenty of games this season. It's easy for me to say I'm 2,000 miles away. I don't have a ticket for the game. I was considering months ago coming over for this game. And I'm going to be coming over end of November, beginning of December. So I'm going to try and catch some games then. I really feel like if you're on the fence, it is absolutely your right and your decision. But I would implore you to try to make the sacrifice if you can, if your circumstances permit, just to try to put that embarrassment factor on Sullivan. Because he certainly doesn't like the embarrassment factor on him. And I think we've got them reeling at the moment. So that's all I'm going to say on that. So just as a quick aside, I've not been asked to do this. I will give a quick plug to where I've come from and how some of you know me over at Hammers Chat Patron. So it's effectively a third Hammers Chat channel. It's a subscription service. It's less than a pint of beer in your local pub, local London pub, certainly a lot less. Tiers from about £3.40, I think, going up to £7-8, perhaps a little bit more. I myself am a Hammers Chat addict. I get lots more content, giveaways, prizes. I've actually won. See if I've got it here. I've actually recently won a signed Paolo Di Canio shirt. This is actually a Bowen one that someone else bought me, but I've actually got down here somewhere a Paolo Di Canio shirt that Gio's kindly sent me because I did the prediction competition. So if you do like what Hammers Chat do, you want to support the guys, there's prize giveaways, raffles, plenty of content, mug of tea, match reviews, player ratings, opposition views, babbling irons. There's myself, Gatesy, and Sat do Overland and C-Word, a weekly fan magazine. So look, they've also got a 7-day free trial over there at Hammers Chat at the moment. So if you do fancy, go and have a look, and you like consuming your West Ham content like I do. And look, you may well be able to sit here and give your opinion. We often have people over on Overland and C-Word. We have the West Ham patrons on, Hammers Chat patrons on, to talk about what they think, so you get your say. So look, just consider that. I'm sure Gio will put the link and everything in the description below the title. Just a last bit of housekeeping. Thank you so very much for having me and for your patience. I'm always blown away. Look, I love the fan cams and I love everything, all the subscribers do. But I do get a little bit disheartened when I click on a video and it's not either Gio or Gonzo, because we build a rapport and we love seeing those same old faces. So if you made it this long, I truly do appreciate you giving me a chance to listen to what I've got to say. I'm not an expert. I'm a fan like you, Eastender, born and raised, done my time on the terraces over at the bowling, and I just love talking football. So thank you so much. If you wouldn't mind sticking a quick like, that's the thumbs up on the video, and subscribe, just so the boys know the views are all right. Listen, I'll leave it with this. I think we'll be all right. I think we're going to stay up this season. I think we're going to survive, but I don't think it's beyond reasonable doubt to say that we're going to be in and around the relegation places. At the moment, our haul is less points than games played. The next 4 games, I think, are going to be crucial. Have a little think about how many points you think we're going to get out of the next 4 games, and then see after 11 games where you think we're at. And we're probably going to be, unless you're an eternal optimist, we're probably going to be around the 11, maybe the 8 to 12 point mark. I think we'll be around 11 after 11 played. If that's an outlook for the rest of the season, that's 38. That might be enough to keep us up this year. But I don't think the 3 teams that come up are necessarily as weak as some of the teams we've seen years before. So we're definitely going to be in amongst it. And to come right back to the beginning again, full circle, we talk about the teams that have the firepower to keep them up. Well, look, last we've got Jarrod Bowen, right? But we haven't got a proper centre forward that scores. We haven't got an accumulation of goals spread across the pitch. Last season, Ipswich went down and they had Liam Delap. So you tell me what you think we need. Do we need a centre forward in January? Do we need a proper old school central defender? Take a look at Isaac Toure. Do you think we're going to be all right? And let me know in the comments below how many points you think we're going to get from the next 4 fixtures. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you soon. Take it easy.